operating systems too. So we're looking at the various frameworks that you can use to build a cross-platform mobile application. Here we have React Native, we have Xamarin, we have Flutter, we have Native Script, we have Corona, we have Accelerator, Ioniq, and also Apache Cordova. So quickly take a look at React Native, and it was introduced by 2015, and it has gone to become one of the most popular mobile app frameworks in town. It is regularly updated. Of course, Facebook keeps updating their libraries and all that, and it is good for multiple platform use. Yes, and the code reusability feature and ready to apply elements considerably shortens development time, so you don't have to spend a long time coding every specific thing. There are some elements that are already in place that you can just put into your code and keep working. And it runs on JavaScript too, which is a very common programming language. But the next one we'll be looking at is Xamarin. Yes, it was created by developers of Mono, and it is one of the oldest cross-platform framework in existence right now. But in 2016, it was bought out by Microsoft and it was integrated into the .NET platform. Now, the .NET platform uses the C# programming language, and it can connect with native code of iOS and Android to achieve even more performance and provide functionalities that are available specifically for them. Xamarin supports development for Apple Watches and all other Apple accessories, and also for Android accessories too. Its universal nature is what distinguishes it from other platforms for cross-platform mobile development. I'm looking at Flutter. This was created by Google, and it was released in 2017. From there, it has had a rapid growth, and it's also one of the popular platforms or frameworks for mobile app development. It has the ability to create cross-platform apps, and also using a single code base, you can develop and modify user experience UX. Then the Flutter is written in that language, and not your usual JavaScript. It's written in that language, and it is an ideal framework for your minimum viable product development. So instead of spending extra money and time on two separate apps, you just have a Flutter mobile application that looks native on both Android and iOS, and you can just build that quickly and push it into the market. Now, looking at Native Script, it is an open source framework to develop mobile apps on the Apple iOS and Android platforms. Native Script was publicly released in March 2015, and it was conceived by developers of Progress, people that developed, or people in Progress that were the ones that developed it. But later it was taken over by NStudio, and since then it has become very popular. It is built using JavaScript and any other language that can be transpiled to JavaScript, such as TypeScript. And it also supports Angular and Vue JavaScript frameworks. The mobile applications that are built with native script result in fully native apps, unlike others that they look similar to native apps. For this one, they are fully native apps because of the way the framework is made. And APIs which were developed in Xcode, that's for the iOS developers, and Android Studios for Android developers. And another feature is the reflection feature. Yes, and the reflection feature is used to update you will need when using native script. So when iOS or Android updates their plugins and libraries, the native script framework automatically updates its own too. So you don't need to start having to download everything. It is already updated in the framework instantly. So that's one of the advantages of this native script. Now we have the Corona SDK. It is a cross-platform framework tool, but it is best for building 2D games and mobile applications. Yes, it was launched in 2009, and it uses the Lua scripting language. So this is mostly used by 2D game developers. Yeah, so that's a favorite for them, and it enables developers to save time by writing a single code base, and the application can run on multiple platforms, as we have said earlier. Then it has a community for sharing knowledge and information, and also it has about 347 studios around the world So if you're a developer and you're into building mobile games, 2D mobile games, you want to check out Corona SDK and maybe join their community or their studios around you. Yes. And also it has the ability to call any native library such as the C, C++, and C Sharp or Java and use their APIs. Then we have the Accelerator. It's an open source framework. Yes, the Titanium SDK. It was developed by Accelerator and it is it is built with JavaScript. So you can build it with JavaScript on it. And it's a cross-platform API for accessing native UIs components such as navigation bars, your menus, and dialog boxes, and the native functionality, including the file system, network, geolocation, and maps. So it helps you get these components for each particular operating system. So the native component of that operating system is what you will get when you are using this framework to build your app. It also has transparent access to native functionality covered by Hyperloop and native modules. Then also it uses the MVC-based framework alloy as the model view and the control. Yeah, so moving on, so the Titanium provides APIs for use of hardware-specific features such as the Android menu button and also the Cocoa UI controls on iOS and also participation in platform ecosystems. Ioniq is the next one we'll be looking at, and this was created in 2013. It's also an open source SDK for hybrid mobile applications, and it is basically an NPM module requiring Node.js to be installed for it to function. And it is part of a large JavaScript ecosystem. So on Ioniq, you build with JavaScript too, and it uses your common front-end technologies like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Angular for application development. Uh, Ioniq also makes use of Apache Cordova plugins. We'll be looking at Apache Cordova shortly. So it makes use of Apache Cordova plugins for accessing native functionality. And Apache Cordova provides Ioniq apps with access to native APIs, serving as a bridge between the web view and the device operating system. Yes, so that's it for Ioniq. And Apache Cordova, it is open source, uses HTML, CSS, and JavaScript too. It allows for app distribution via app stores. It supports all the major or popular OSs and makes it possible to create universal software solutions. It has extensive plugin choice, and also it is easy to learn. And you can use your favorite IDE, that's your VS Code, and any other environment that is you. But the letdown is that it doesn't perform as much as the apps that are built on it. The performance rate is relatively low compared to other frameworks. So that's just led on Apache Cordova. Now, looking at the challenges in cross-platform app development, first of all, there's the performance hiccups because of inconsistent communication between native and non-native components of the gadget. Yes, so the mobile apps that are built, some of them will have the native components of that operating system, but a lot of the components will not be the native components because you are building one code base to work across multiple platforms. So there might be inconsistency when those components in the app are trying to communicate and might result in glitches or delay time and all that. Then also the cross-platform app developers have difficulty maintaining cross-compliance of apps across devices and operating systems. Yeah, like different operating systems have different regulations and compliance that you have to follow when building your application. For the iOS, it's different from the Android, and from Android, it's different from the Windows. So that might be an issue because you are just developing one code base, and you have to just have it run on multiple platforms. So at the end of the day, might not be meeting up with the standards of these platforms or these operating systems. Another issue is the performance-related glitches that can lead to poor user experience. Like I said before, the inconsistent communication might cause glitches to occur in the app, and this will lead to poor user experience. Now, if a business app manages part of a corporation and stores users' data, then going for cross-platform app is not always a good idea due to security concerns. Yes, you have the security on iOS is different from the security on Android, and likewise for the Windows. So at the end of the day, we are building one code base for all the operating system. It might not meet up to these security standards of different apps or different operating systems, and it can lead to breaching data security and others. Now, the benefits of cross-platform app development. The first one is the maximum exposure to target audience. So you have a chance of reaching multitudes, people using different phones and different gadgets and different operating systems. Instead of when you have just one native app, maybe you have just one iOS native app and you can only reach out to iOS people. But when you have the cross-platform app, you can reach out to both people on iOS and the Android platforms and even the Windows platform. And also the reduced development costs, because now you are building one code base, and instead of building for iOS, you have to employ people to build iOS, or building for Android, you have to employ people to build for Android, and Windows, you have to employ people to build for Windows. You just have a set of developers and they build the app, and it can run on multiple platforms or multiple operating systems. So you reduce cost for the business in a very, very, very large scale. Then there's easier maintenance and deployment. So you're just maintaining one app. Whatever updates you make on the app from your end will be updated on both the Android, the OS, and also the iOS and also the Windows. So it's easy to maintain and also easy to deploy. And there's quicker development process. Like I say, you don't have to build multiple native apps. You're just building one app. So it's easier to build and it's faster to build too. And the reusable code. Yes, the code you build with on the code you use to build, you can also use it to it eliminates repetition. So you don't have to create a code every time. Like you don't have to keep writing code for each operating system. So it's still the same code base that you use for the Android, you used to develop for the iOS, used to develop for the Windows OS. So that's how it works. Then there's easy integration with cloud and faster time to market and customization. And there's also the uniform design. Because since you are building one code base, it has the same outlook. And when it is installed on the Android or the iOS or the Windows, it still maintains that look or that interface. There might be subtle changes depending on how the operating system works, but the look or the interface is still pretty much the same. And brings us to the end of the benefits of cross, and also to the end of today's session. I hope it was. Thank you for joining.
All right. Thank you very much, David, for that wonderful exposure. We learned some stuff. Okay. I think we can entertain questions. If anyone has a question, we are open. David, I think you're ready to answer questions or ask us questions if no one has. We're open to the house. Okay.
Okay, sorry, you talked about the
Yes,
flutterwave
yes,
and then the React.
yes.
Yeah, they seem to be the two common platforms for creating mobile apps now. I want to know if someone writes a code in React and then it's not available, and then you have someone who is very good in Flutterwave. Is it possible to use Flutterwave to edit a code that is for an app that is developed from native? Can you use Flutterwave? Or are you saying that for someone who is actually developing an app, a mobile app developer, are you saying that you must have at least two programming languages to succeed? Kind of, must you have something like maybe React and then Flutterwave in order to be able to successfully work anywhere or integrate applications together? Did you understand the question?
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. From the first one you asked, I don't think it's possible to an app with Flutter, then go ahead and edit it with another framework. Because this, except maybe you want to just copy out the HTML and maybe your JavaScript and CSS and take it to another framework and build something else entirely. or if you are using a setting, you cannot edit on another framework. You get with Flutter, you have to keep updating that app with Flutter like that. Then the issue of having multiple programming languages or platforms, knowing multiple platforms. You can just specialize in a couple. I think depending on where you are or where you're living, there are usually common languages that are or common platforms that are used. Like for example, a lot of people use Vue or um, mobile app building Angular around here, and also Flutter too is a very common one. Flutter and maybe Xamarin for Windows. So I think those are the three major ones currently, and I think you should be fine with that. Except maybe there's now a specialty or you need for learning other frameworks at the moment. Like maybe the Corona SDK now for mobile app for game 2D games and all that. So if you know you want to start building games, you might want to look for a platform that has or that tilts towards that side of building games. But if not, just want to stick with the popular ones because that's what the market is asking for. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thank you so
Hello?
much. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Any other questions, please?
All right. If there are no more questions, I guess you can ask one or two questions before we.
Okay. Can anyone give can anyone give me the idea or the concept of cross-platform mobile app development? I just speak briefly about it. Anybody?
Okay, from what you said, is basically you made mention of. I think there are so many advantages that the idea behind it. One is like say the same platform can be used for both iOS and Android, so you don't have to write a code for maybe one of the mobile that's the other device. If you're using an Android right now, the code you write is the same thing. You just edit. So you say it's easier to edit on, it's easier to also use. I think that was one of the points you made.
Good morning. Sorry, you're breaking up. I can't really hear you.
Someone give me. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
We say some of the advantages you made mention. I think I remember very vividly. You said
The am I still on? Okay, like Mr. said, because the idea of cross-platform mobile development is to have one single code base and deploy the app to different operating systems. So you don't have to start creating native app for each OS. So the next question will be list 5 frameworks for mobile app development, for cross-platform mobile app development. Anybody? Anybody? 5 frameworks for mobile app development.
We talked about Corona. We talked about Flutter. We talked about
Monday, I don't no best boss.
yeah.
Hello,
can we hear you, please? Can you hear us?
You said something about reactive or native scripts. I don't know.
React Native. He said React Native. Then Corona. Then Flutter Wheels.
We lost you.
Coronavirus. They use coronavirus. I don't understand.
Okay, that's one. Native script is one. 4 months ago, someone
There was one that looked like Chinese.
script.
That normal be something.
Xamarin.
Xamarin, Ioniq, React Native, Flutter, Corona SDK, the mobile Angular UI.
Corona, not Flutter way.
Just Flutter.
Flutter rather, sorry, you didn't Flutter with
When was Corona? When was Corona? David.
So
I'm very interested. When was the
we said
Corona?
Corona, we said Flutter, we said React. Ioniq here, yeah. Thank
What
you.
a mobile Angular UI.
That's nice. That's good.
That was Ioniq now.
Corona, yeah?
Yeah. Yes,
I
when
think
was
it was
it?
Corona was 2009.
Yes, that's
2009.
You said why?
2009.
2009, that's when it was created.
Corona, and then we now had Corona issue in 2019.
Is that what you're thinking?
All right.
Benjamin.
Yes. You want to attack?
I think I have come to the end of my session. Attack
Who knows? You might want to attack me now. Let's see you.
No.
You
my Ghana.
Me or
Developer.
All right. Wonderful having you and everybody. Thank you for coming. Today's KD was wonderful. We have learned some stuff today. So I think we've come to the end. We can all now take our wonderful leave and have a nice day.
Have a nice day, guys.